have been alerted to your presence, sir.
Sparkly lights. Kinda looks cool, eh? I'm just testing stuff. That's why all the lights is off. Thought I'd let you see it. Don't know if you can see it. The LEDs aren't the right way round. But kinda just try to see what the effect looks like. I think that's going to be kinda cool. Right, get my lights on. Hi, I'm back. All you crazy styrene fanatics. It's Terry from Smooth's Workshop. This is part 2 of my Revell 112 Star Wars X-Wing fighter. Ooh. You'll notice it's on a stand. Yeah, it doesn't come with the kit, but in this episode I show you how to make one. Need something for running my wiring out of. Because I'm going to be clipping and unclipping it, I'll show you how I dealt with these clip together fasteners so I can do that. I'll show you how to dress up all the wee nubs, and the placement of the front LED, which is inside here, and basically working out how I'm going to run the wiring on the wings and how I'm going to be fitting the LEDs. It's pretty much as far as I've got at the moment. Video is creeping up to an hour. I'm trying to keep them less, but I do waffle a little bit. I apologise about that. So without any further ado, we're kind of getting to this stage now. We're nearly there. We're nearly there. Off and watch the film. See you later. Bye. Hi guys, welcome back. Terry from Smooth's Workshop here. Right, I've kind of had to delay my video in because my noisy neighbour downstairs, I'm in a 4 block, so it's like 2 flats upstairs and 2 flats downstairs. She's playing music, and if it gets picked up on my YouTube video, YouTube start throwing their toys out the pram. Right, welcome back to the Revell 112 scale X-Wing fighter. Now, first video was a basic run through of what's happening and where I've got to. Got some new parts through today. I was talking about making a stand up. You might see I've started making something here. I need to get myself a dark piece of paper or something, but white doesn't catch the light. I've got a little base here. It's just dry fitted just now, and a bit of styrene rod. Now the stuff I showed you in the last video was a bit thick, so I've got more in. It's that evergreen stuff again. It's quite expensive, but I mean, there's a pack of 5 tubes for about £5, but I mean, you're not always scratch building stuff, but yeah, I mean, anyway, it comes in a big pack, and you get your length of tube, like so. But as I mentioned before, I'm not going to stick a full length of tube on. So I cut it. Oh, dropping things off camera there. So I also got myself some of these little miniature bases, or war gamer bases. I think these are 45 or 50 mil. I just got them off eBay. Yeah, putting figures on or whatever. It's just a plastic base. It's got a few wee raised bits of detail on it, but it's got loads of nice wee holes in the back, which is quite handy for actually lining up for drilling, because there's one right in the middle. So I've got my base, and on the other side of it, you can see there's a hole through there now, but basically I took a small drill to start with, a pilot hole, and made my first hole through. I took the tube and I measured it. I've got a vernier caliper. It's just a cheap brake one, you know, and it tells you on the packet actually it's 4.8mm or something like that. This tube is okay. I held it up to the model before I cut it to see if actually mounting on that would be better, and I think it is. I also had to consider I've got to run wires down the middle, so I did a rough guide. I'll probably have to do 1, 2, If I do some of the soldering up inside the aircraft, I'll probably only have to run 2 wires down. But yeah, just making sure that all the wires that I'm going to be having coming out the kit, that the pipe's the right diameter for them coming out. So I did that. Right, okay, so I know that's 4.8mm. Nearest drill I had was a 4.5. So I just did it by hand after I'd done the pilot hole, went through it. Obviously the tube didn't fit. I didn't have a drill the exact size, so I just took I've got a large round file here. I'm a mechanic, so I've got tools, and I just got my file in and I started working it and working it and working it and working it until the tube just press fits in. It will get glued and I will square it up and all that the best I can, but basically that tube can go right through there if I want. So that's basically going to be the base. Okay. I'm going to have to drill the body of the aircraft with the same procedure so that the tube goes inside. But I'm not quite sure where about in the aircraft to put it. So that stuff I was mentioning in the last one, I've got some white tack here. Well, my fingers are a wee bit black, so it's going to be kind of grey tack. So I'm just going to warm a little bit of this up in my fingers. Before I drill a hole, I'm going to test to see if where I mount it on the model is going to look alright. So I'm just going to take this blob of white tack and stick it on the top of here, on my little base, because I want to see if it's on the base, is it going to stand up? Is it going to be weighted towards the back, or is it going to be weighted towards the front? Will I have to put nose weight in to make it stay in the right place? So if I take the top off, I know I'm going to be running the wires. Now this bit behind the pilot, okay, so there is a wall comes down behind the pilot here. So this space is where I want to run my wires through. Okay. The main part of it is filled with the X-wing, so I'm not going to be able to go into there. So I'm looking at drilling a hole through here. It's on an angle, so it's going to be a bit of a pain. I'm just checking that there's enough room for this tube to come up through, and there is. Okay, so that in there, put the top on. Obviously there's a few more bits and bobs to go on, so the weight distribution will change in this, but it's just a rough wee clip together kind of thing. So we're going to have to drill through this angled part here. So if I white tack this temporarily, there we go, we've got a stand. See, so it doesn't come with a stand, but I made a stand. It's a bit squonky at the moment because nothing's glued together. That's why now it seems to be tipping back a little bit on its own. So once I've got my LED and that in there, I might put a little bit of nose weight in so it doesn't want to keep tipping back, because all the weight's at the back on this model. Now I know the white tax will hold it, but it is showing that it's tipping back, so I would probably have to put some nose weight in there. So the position I'm going to mount it in is going to be fine. So that's proved that bit. I'll just move my camera back to its normal position. There we go. Right, now, so that's that bit sorted out. I've got the stand done. I'm going to have to drill in here, obviously. Obviously, I need to see what room I've got left in here, because I'm going to be putting some sort of LED in here, roughly at the pilot's feet. So it does leave me a tiny little bit of room. If I wanted to, this is where this white tack's quite good as well. You can use little bits of lead shot, but you could also pack it up with a little bit of white tack in the nose. Yeah, put a wee bit more weight there, but I'll figure it out when I get to it. But yeah, it's going to need a little bit of nose weight. But once that's glued on, actually, it might not. We'll see. You sometimes have to do that with aircraft. If it's a type with the two wheels at the back, and the one at the front. And the two at the back are usually under the wings, and you tend to find the back of the aircraft slightly heavier. So when you actually put it down, it's got a tendency to tip up. So if you put weight in the nose, it holds it down on the front wheel. So yeah, I might have to put a bit of nose weight in. I don't think I'll need it. It's a really small model, and once it's all glued, it's going to be fine. So yeah, that's fine for the position. Now for the scary part. Ooh, I'm going to have to find. I'll just put this out right. I'm going to have to find roughly the centre of that hole, roughly the centre of this piece, and make a hole. So I'm going to go in with a smaller drill to start with. Can you see me? I'm on camera. Right, I'm just doing it by eye. I could measure it. I mean, there's a wee guide for me. That's roughly in the middle. This little channel. In fact, actually, be professional, Terry. Where's my Sharpie? There it is. Where's my steel rule? There it is. Measure it. So it's roughly 10 or 11 wide. That is the midpoint. I'm just off camera figuring this out now. Just so I can give myself a guide. You do want it to be kind of in the middle, don't you? So yeah, that's kind of the middle line, in fact. I'm going to do it by eye. That's kind of the middle line there. That's kind of the middle of the compartment, roughly speaking. Okay, so halfway down that. That's where I want to be going. Right, now, smaller drill first. That's roughly halfway down, equidistant. I'm just going to turn that slowly to get it started. I don't want to drill my new mat, so I've got old buffer sticks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a buffer stick underneath the plastic, so that when the drill goes through, it doesn't drill into my nice. I'm just twisting that. Can you see I'm on camera? Okay, I'm just twisting that round to get it to drill through the part. There we go. I think. Are we through? Now, although it's an angled surface, I want to be drilling straight. And there we go, that's a little drill through. I want to be drilling straight through, so that the pipe can go in straight. So it might be a kind of oval hole underneath. Actually, I've got that not bad. I'm looking at the hull centre line there. It's not bad, it's near enough. Go through with a slightly bigger drill. Which it helps if I have it clamped up properly in my pin vise. I haven't used that end of the pin vise before, so it's maybe not the. Now I'm through on the other side, I can actually drill through this way. I'm going to keep it straight or perpendicular to the part. Perpendicular for my American friends. Right, so I'm just going to drill that hole through. We're going to go up in a bigger size now. This is an 1/8 drill bit, and I'm just going to. You can drill it through for the inside if you worry in case you're going to slide off and mark your model, but because I've got the pilot hole in there, it should start gripping. I'm going to come through for the other side. It's just a bit awkward because you're drilling on an angle. It's not like if I was able to mount it there, it would be nice and straight, but where I want to put the wires through, it's kind of at an angle. So I'm just hoping this is all going to go through okay. I'm just doing it slowly with light movements. You could do it in a drill, but you can go quite wrong quite quickly if you use a drill. So I prefer to do it by hand. I don't have a bigger pin vise for the bigger drill bits. Right, that's about to go through, that's why it's starting to be a bit awkward. So I'll come across the other side. Oh, you little devil. Where's my wee round file? Can I start getting that in yet? See if I can open it up a bit with that. Because it's tapered. The drill's starting to get to, when the drill's about to go through the plastic, it goes that snaggy way. So yeah, you will go through. Good, you can hear my knuckles cracking and everything. So right, there we go, and it's through. Perpendicular. That's the easy bit. It's just difficult because we're on an angle. Because the next bit, we're going into the one that's almost the size of that pipe, the 4.5mm one. Okay, so there's a hole, and I'm almost in the middle, so it's near enough for me. Again, if I went in with a drill, this would chew the hell out of this, so I'm just turning it slowly by hand, just to get the hole. Start taking the plastic off a bit at a time for either side. I can't really get a good bite at it from the inside. So I'm just going to keep gently twirling away at it until I get through the plastic. If I had a bigger pin vise, yeah, it would be a lot easier, because it would give me more purchase on the drill bit. I'm just going to bits of plastic and everything all over my bench here. Right, how far have we got to go? Quite a bit still, okay. I'll keep going. The reason I've went with a slightly smaller drill, apart from I don't have a slightly bigger one, is that it's easier to make a hole bigger by filing or whatever, but if you make it too big, it's harder to make the hole smaller. So using a drill that's slightly smaller than what I need allows me to then do a bit of fettling. So again, I can get that in there perpendicular, and when this goes into the model it will be getting glued. That'll be a wee bit after I've done a bit more fettling. Okay, so I suppose this would be quite handy. I know I'm going to be going into the LED modifications, but this kit doesn't come with a stand, so this is a pretty simple way of making one. If you weren't putting wires through it, you can get this. You can get that in clear acetate rod, the see-through stuff, and you could make a wee base up with a clear rod going into it. I'm probably going to just paint that jet black as if it was space. So I need to get black card in that for when I go to take the photographs. So I'm going to put some black card round it and black card round the bottom. So when the LEDs light up, it looks like it's in space. That's the idea. Right, so this pipe doesn't quite go in there yet. So I'm going to take my large file that I have, and I'm just going to... Now, what I have to watch is I don't want to be doing it at the same angle as the angle that this part goes at. I want the stand to go in straight. So I need to gently file it out perpendicular to the part. So I'm just going to, kind of doing it off camera, I'm just opening the hole up a wee bit. Do a little bit of sand in, check and see if the pipe goes in. Not yet. It just gives me something. I mean, I didn't have to put a stand on it. I don't have to put LEDs in it. But kind of sitting on top of a tabletop, it doesn't look as if it's flying, does it? There's manufacturers out there that make stands, aftermarket stands. Good stuff about that clear rod as well. The acetate rod, if you heat it up, you can bend it into fancy shapes, so you could have it flying at an angle or whatever. I'm not going to be doing that with this because there's wiring going through it. And the fact that I can hide my wiring in this stand is the reason that I have to put it on a stand. There's not enough room inside this model. If it was a really, really big model, like a car or something, I was lighting it up with LEDs, I could hide all the switches under the car and put all the stuff inside, but this model is a really small scale. Oh, there we go. It is kind of flopping at an angle at the moment, but what you can see there now is I've got the tube in there, and I will probably take it to about there. That's at a right angle, and I'll check it's at a right angle. Yeah, it's not glued or anything yet. So can I? I've also, this is why I'm test fitting. I'm limited by the R2D2 slot in the top, so that's the maximum it can go in, up to there, but then I wouldn't get my wires through. So when I do go to do it, I really want to drop it down and glue it in. But just for a wee looky see the now, just curiosity killed the cat. Just go blue tack it inside. White tack it, sorry. It might look a bit ski whiff and stuff, but so a wee bit white tack inside there. Sorry if I'm going off camera with some of this. A wee bit white tack in there. Right, my XE wings on. Got them right butterfingers today. My XE wings in, like so. The top on, like so. Just squeeze this up into the white tack for the moment. And then try it in my base. And there you have it, folks. I've made my little base. So it's sitting at a not bad angle actually. That's sitting okay there. It's not going to tip over or anything. I'm not going to have to add nose weight to that. Alright. Yeah, there's more weight going to go in the back because you've got both engine intakes to go on, you know, above and below, but it's not, this stuff's really light, so it's not adding much weight. I'm quite happy with that. Yeah. So yeah, that's how to make a pretty simple base. I'll put that file out of the way. CFE, where have I put it? And there's another file. I'm not going to need them again, so I'll put them back in my mechanics toolbox, my big snap-on box at the side of me. Right. What will we do next? Right, just another quick one. I'm going to be making some holes through the bodywork for the wires to go through, because I've got all this wiring and stuff to go through the kit. So I'm going to have to drill things out, and trying to measure the outside diameter of wire is a bit of a pain. I think I should talk to myself. I don't have the electronic vernier gauges, So I had to try and figure out what size is the smallest hole that I can make for the wire to go through. So this is a wee bit plasticard. Again, it's for evergreen. You get this in sheets, so if you want to scratch build stuff, you cut bits out and you can make things, your own models from scratch, or little alterations. So yeah, what I did was I took a few, right, here's my wire here, right, okay. This is bell wire, okay. That's quite expensive stuff to buy it in the roll. So, if you're going to be wiring LEDs in your models, get yourself some Cat 5 cable and strip it back, okay. That's the same as bell wire. And you get four twisted pairs, so 8 wires, and you know, there's more than enough there to do the model. Only thing is, this stuff is nice and straight, and some of it's going to be exposed, possibly, you know, going between there and inside. When this stuff comes out, it's all crinkled up. So a wee trick to do, if you just put it on the edge of your table. Now I'll try and do it. I'm right-handed, so if you put it on the edge of your table like that, and pull it over the corner, and just keep going all the way down, 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 all the way down. It curves it, but it takes all the kinks out. So I've got a nice straight wire there. So I basically looked at my drill bits and thought that's maybe about the same size, or that's maybe about the same size, and drilled a hole. My first one was too big. Now, although the wire will go through that, you're not really wanting rattlage, you know. If any of that's visible outside the ship, you're going to have a space round it. So I found the right size that is perfect for it, and it turns out to be 1.2 millimeters, and it's also the same size as the bell wire. Oh. It was when I tested it off camera. It's the same size as the bell wire. Okay, so obviously, if you can imagine this as a panel in the ship, and I want to pass through one part of the ship into the next part of the ship, I'm going to have to drill holes to let these wires go through. You know, if you can imagine, say this is the bulkhead at the back of the spaceship, between the pilot and where I want to put the wires, and I've got an LED in the front, and I'll probably drill it down the bottom actually, but you know, there's the, if you can imagine that this piece of plastic here, right, have I got the camera the right way? There we go, right, sorry. If you can imagine this piece of plastic here is a bulkhead at the back of his seat. There's the small space before we get the wing compartment where we're going to put the wires in. So I would need to drill a couple of holes in there to pass 2 wires, because each LED has 2 wires going to it, one for the power in and one for the return or the earth. So I'll go a bit more into detail on that later on. So yeah, so I've now found the drill bit that I need, and whilst I'll use this for the external, for connecting up to the battery, because it's easier to see red as your battery positive, or VCC, and your black is your battery negative, or VSS, they sometimes refer to it in electronics. So this is expensive, I don't want to use too much of that. This is just old Cat 5 cable. Now, there might be bits where I'm really tight for space for getting in with the wire, but the wire's exposed. So I have got myself some 2mm, now this is strip styrene as well, but it's got a U shape on it. A bit like in your house, if somebody's running wiring, they put, can we get the profile? It's U-shaped. It's like the stuff they clip on, the conduit, you know, they put the wires in the wall and then they clip their stuff on top of it. Now, this wire is too thick for the conduit to cover it and make it glue it in, but if I was really struggling, where's my strippers? if I was really struggling for space, I could, in theory, just take the outer sheathing off. This is stranded wire though, the bell wire is a solid core, and just twist this stuff up, says he. I'm just twisting it to keep it together. So the Cat 5 stuff's stranded, or this stuff is, so it's made up of lots and lots of little strands, whereas the bell wire is a solid wire. Anyway, right, I've got one strand creeping off, but it is possible that I can get the stranded wire under this if I want to, if I need to run a length that's in a tight space or whatever. I can hide it with that. So anyway, that's just stuff I'm playing about with. Don't know what I'll need to do yet because I haven't drilled any holes. I'm just wondering what to go on to the next section, whether to go on to showing you why I'm opening up holes so I can clip it in and out. That might be quick. Or will I go on to how the LED circuit works? Right, I'll go on to opening the parts up. Right, I'm going to have to make more modifications on this. So let's take the top bit. I'm going to be taking the top on and off quite a bit, and I can already tell from my little experiments here. I'll just get this bit of white tack out for a moment. I can already tell from my experimenting so far that this is probably based on a snap kit, and I'm going to be wanting to keep going into this and try something, clip it together, take it back out again. And if I actually shut that, that's not going to come open again. So I had looked to see if I had a drill bit the right size to open up these holes. I don't. It's either too big or too small. So I'm just going to take my craft knife and rotate it and scrape it a bit to open that hole up. I'll do the same with this one. Just light pressure. Basically using it like a tapered drill bit. You know these cone drills that you get that are tapered on both sides, and you drill things out and open holes up? I'm kind of using it like a cone drill. Right, so that's that one open, that one open. I don't know how well I'll get into these because they're quite shallow at the front. That's why I'm using a blade that has a tip broken off it, because I don't want to go through the plastic with my sharp, and you can only go down so far. So I'm using one of my older blades that the tip's broken off of. Suppose if I really wanted, I could you know, break another bit off and make it more for. That's why I don't throw any of my old blades out. Right, so it's looking not too bad. The one in the front, again, it's really shallow, so I'm having to sort of, rather than going deep, go out wide. Alright, so I'm just going to gently see if this is still going to be a tight. It is. Right, so what's my other options? I can remove them, or I can try and take them down a bit. So, where's my flat file? I might try just taking a little edge off of them. Watching not to catch the main body of the craft. So I'm reducing the outside diameter of these little nubs. Don't know if that'll work actually. I'm going to go off camera and have a wee fiddle about and see how we get on with that bit. We're back in a minute. See you in a bit. Hey guys, welcome back. Right, I've cleaning up some of the nubs on this. Remember I said earlier, go get your teeth in, that normally in an aircraft you want both parts of the fuselage together before you start sanding them. Not in this one. There's actually it's designed, there's a ledge along that edge and a ledge along that edge, so that's not supposed to be flat. So I'm just having a wee look here at some of the bits. So I'm just making sure things are kind of even with my wee sandy sticks and stuff. But where the bodywork was attached onto the sprue gate, it wasn't too bad on the bottom part where the point's fixed. The top bit's been a bit of a pain because you'll not be able to make it out in this light, but on both sides there's a little bit of triangular detail at the front, and where the nub came off on this one, it's right next to the bit of detail, and I can't really get in to sand it. So what I'm having to do is, hopefully this is in focus, is very carefully, and now this is a kind of blunter blade, but I'm just scraping it next to the detail to take the excess bit of nub off. So I'm gently dragging the blade across the surface. The other bit it's a problem is there's a raised line of detail on the other side of it and a raised line of detail on the other bit, so you can't really get into sand it much. So hopefully, this is just my buffer stick, so this won't take much off. Hopefully I've got it. Yeah, I can still see a wee bit of nub there. So it's being a little bit of a pain. So I'm just trying to scrape the bit of nub off. But I can't really go in and sand it too heavily because I'll take this raised bit of detail off. So I'm going to have to live with that the best I can get it. So basically there's loads of wee bits of detail, so don't go sanding off bits that you see that are raised, because normally when you're checking for nubs you run your finger along it and you'll click on stuff, but because this kit's got raised detail, it might be a detail part that you're going for. So there was a nub at the back there, I got that one. I'm just trying to see, there must have been something else. Just running my fingernail down to see. Right, there's one there. Okay, I'll check and see if there's any detail next to it. It's not bad. So what I do is very carefully with my file, because my snips are ultra sharp, I can get quite close into the part when I snip. Some people say leave a bigger nub and sand it back. I like to get in really close. If it's a big sprue gate, I would go further back. But these kits are quite good, and so is the Tamiya ones. They come to a little taper, so you're just taking a tiny wee bit off. If it's a big screw gate, come away from it, because if you cut it close, it tends to take away, weird noises, tends to take away the actual, leaves a hollow. So I'm just very carefully drawing my file across that to take the little nub off. And just with my fingernail having a wee. Right, it's no catching it now. Good thing about these sanders is they're flexy, they've got foam in them. Don't press hard when you're sanding, just let the sander do its work. Obviously trying to avoid the high detail at either side. Now it does look a different colour from the rest, but I'm not worrying about that as long as it's smooth. The primer will catch that. And it looks, so I'll go in with my buffy now, buff it up, smooth, and a wee rub. That looks fine, there's no nub there. I generally tend to take my buffer when you put two parts together, just gently along the edges of all the seams, just in case there's any tiny wee bits of flash. It tends to take it off, just so that everything's nice and smooth. Right, that's the nubs addressed. Right, what I did off camera, you've seen me open up these holes. I then went in with an 1/8 drill bit, which I have lost again, and I just, a couple of turns, just took a wee bit more out at the top. I had started filing these, but I couldn't really get into them, so all I did was I took my blade, and a bit like that scraping motion, I just started scraping it down. The one in the nose was a bit of a pain, but just to take a wee bit of that plastic off, and I did that with them all, which means that I can now take the two parts of the body, put them together, no problem. I'll need to watch when I'm gluing that together because it's easy to get it a bit out of line now that I've expanded the holes. I can easily pull that apart again now, which I'll probably have to do a few times. Right, I haven't dressed up the pilot yet, or it has. So I'm just basically doing a little bit of prep here at the moment. There's a bit of flash on there, so I'm just let the sander do the work, taking that flash off the edge. This is a 220 grade, so there is a bit of rough in it, but it suits my purposes. Use a big flat bit for the larger areas. That looks alright, that looks okay. Mainly interested in the bits that's going to be visible. The bits underneath that you don't see, well, the ejector pin marks and all that, not worried about them. It's the bits up top. That looks okay. That's that cleaned up. Now, there was a couple of wee, where the guy fits on, I can see one just on the edge here, so what I'm just going to do gently now, kids just do it with sandpaper. A lot of people say cut away for you, but I find I don't get any control that way, so likes of Tony and that will be screaming because he's a trained medic. I tend to go towards myself, but in a scissor motion, but I'm bracing myself against the bottom of the part and I'm going to trim, but it's this part of the knife that's touching my thumb, it's not that bit. So we're just going to take that wee bit of nub off. Tiny wee bit of nub, the best I can with that, just to take the worst of it off. I don't want to go in my file, it's a curved surface, so that's the worst of the nub off. Because this is flexible and it conforms to the surface, I can very lightly just, so I'll not get a flat spot. If you go in my file that's hard and has no give in it, you'll flatten these round arm off. That's what's great about these wee sandy sticks. So I'm just checking to see if there's any seam lines or anything on them, or when the mould goes together and it clamps together, sometimes you get a wee bit of plastic coming out down the edge. So this will take it off now. There's another wee nub there. So again, I'm just going to carefully nick that back. He's going to be buried inside the cockpit. You're not going to see a lot of detail on him. He will have to get painted up. So I'm just going down his seams just now in case there's any wee seam lines. Take them off. I'm not rubbing hard. I'm letting the sander do the work. I don't want... There's a lot of soft detail on this. This is soft plastic. Just looking to see if there's any raggy edges or anything. And there's not. He's good to go. He's ready for his painting. Which I will do at some point. Right, I am now just going to sit him in there. So that's good to go. Next stage with him is painting him up and paint the cockpit up. I'll paint him by brush. I'll do the base coat of the actual cockpit colour. I'll do a primer first. This will help with the light blocking. And then I'll do the base coat. the cockpit interior with the airbrush. So yeah, that's him in there. So I can stick him back in here. That's him in. So the next bit of attention I have to pay to is the wings. There we go. Now I know when I go to glue this together, because otherwise I'll get gaps, is I'll go into that when I glue it, but I'll glue it and I'll squish it together for as long as I can. But I can't hold it till it cures, and sometimes they spring apart again. So I've got another couple of wee handy things. I've got wee clips, these wee spring clips, and that lets me, just imagine I'm gluing it, I can clamp that bit together, line this up, get this all glued, and I can clamp that bit together. Guys that do aircraft that are slightly bigger, you can wrap elastic bands around it. Now if you don't have these clamps, I'm just not wanting to waste my masking tape, you can squeeze it together and then tape it with masking tape. That will stop it coming apart. But if I was gluing it, basically I would glue it, get it where I want it, and sit with the clamps on till it's dry. Similar by aircraft. Not gluing it, I was just showing you. So clips are handy wee things. Clothes pegs as well. If you've got clothes pegs, if you haven't got these, and you've no elastic bands and you've no masking tape, go and rob your wife's clothes peg basket. And you can use clothes pegs as well to put the two parts together. Right, this is where I'm just seeing, right, that comes up to there, and it's just shy of Sharpie pen time again. Oh, I took it away for doing my LED, didn't I? Right, never mind that. Right, I know it's roughly that far back. Right, so my LED wants to be going my blue LED wants to be sitting about there, behind there. Now I was thinking that I might have to make up a little bit of plasticard in there for the LED to go in, but that sits really snug in there. Hopefully I showed you that on camera. That sits really snug in there, and when I put that on top, obviously I'll fix that in place, but if I put that on top, where does it end up? Ends up slightly back a bit. Right, okay, that's fine. And then I have to get the wiring back up to the front. So I would probably just try to figure out when I go to wire this. There's my wee bendy pliers. Right. So I need to get the wires to the back. The longest one's the anode. I'll go into that later. But yeah, so if I go about there and I come like that. I think I'm going to go with blue actually. I forgot the guy was actually orange. You know. And not yellow. I'm just trying to figure out how much gap I've got in there. I can use the LED legs to prop the bulb up in the right place. I'm on camera, yeah. This is a hard thing about making the videos. Tony's got a close-up camera, so he sits with the camera in between him and the model part. That can make things quite difficult, but because this camera I'm using is just like a wee GoPro, a cheaper version of GoPro. I take it out my motorbike with me and everything. So if I was running the wires, I want the wiring to go underneath. So if that was sitting like that, white tack, great stuff this white tack. Try things out, stick things together. Is that going to work? No. You've not glued anything. You can have another go. So I'm just going to put a bit of white tack on that. Is that a bit much? Tweezer, tweezer, tweezers. I'm wanting to see if that's sitting in that position roughly. So it's raised up slightly. Okay. That lets me pull the wires underneath, one to one side and one to the other side. So what I need to do now is I need to see if this cockpit still fits with that bend configuration on it. Give a wee squeeze of that. Oh, that's a good guess. That's a really good guess. So that bulb is going to sit, can you see? The LED bulb's going to sit there and it's going to shine up VA's feet. I'm hoping. I might have to put, we'll see how we get on with the light blocking, but for now I'm happy that's where that's going to go. Okay. And I'm just trying to see, I'm not going to have to make any holes through the bulkhead to run the wiring in. Excellent! What I'm thinking about there is obviously, here's a bit of wire. I'll use red because it shows up on the camera better. Right. So I'm going to have two wires going up to this LED. One's going to give it its power and one's going to be its negative. Now I will have to use a resistor with the LED because the voltage I'm using is 9 volts and this blue LED works at 3 volts. So if I put a 9 volt through that, that bulb's just going to blow. Now if I had the space I could put the resistor inside the aircraft, but I don't. So this wire's going to come up for the tube. Okay, that's a hole in the bottom of the aircraft. And then it's going to run along underneath to the positive terminal. And then you've got another wire that's going to come up. Okay, and that's going to run to the negative terminal, right? And then they go away down the tube. And at the other end, where it comes out the tube and out the base, so I'm just using an example. So imagine this is coming down for the aircraft. So that's my power one. Can you see that? Right, okay, that's that one. And this is my earth one. I'm going to be having 4 wires going down the middle. When I actually get into wiring the LEDs after the fettling, I'll show you the wiring diagram. So basically what's happening there is now my wires are coming out the bottom. Obviously this is just for test. Because I can't put the resistor inside the aircraft, I'll add the resistor outside. Once the cable's away, I can do the resistors. So it's still getting a resistor, but it's not in the aircraft. So that's kind of the idea behind it. Right, so that's that done. Right. Where's my aircraft? Who stole it? Right, so I know that LED is going to be fine there. What I'll do is, once the wiring is on, I would probably PVA that in place or whatever. I'm not fitting it in place just now permanently because I'm going to have to light block, so I'm going to have to paint all that inside, but I'm leaving it there so I know that's fine. I've checked the wiring routing for that. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no further modifications needed to put that LED in the front of the craft. So that's that done. So now we're on to the wings. Now I've had to think about this. Because basically the LEDs themselves. Oh, hold on, right, is it that way? Is it that way? It's that way. The red LEDs themselves are in two banks. So two are wired together and the other two are wired together, and then they're kind of wired together as a pair. So if I was to put one in there and one in there, the problem I'm going to have there is wires flexing if the wings do move, and eventually copper, if you work it back and forward enough, it snaps the wire. So what I'm looking at now is, obviously this is the rear of the aircraft, is there's two wing halves. So it would make more sense to me to run, right, there's going to be an LED, this is the next bit I'm going to fettle, but there's going to be an LED in there, and then I'm going to have to drill holes, and then the wire's going to come out for that one, and then I have to then get the wires that come out of that one to go into the LED on the other side. So there'll be one wire joins them, and then another wire comes from each LED away inside the aircraft and then down the tube. So I'm thinking if I do the pairs opposite, then wherever I run my wire, it's not going to be flexing. So I'm going to have to do that twice. The other thing I have to bear in mind with this is once I've done my modifying and I know the LEDs are going to fit and I've drilled my holes and all that, I'll need to do light blocking on this as well, just in the engine bits. That might be quite hard in such a small space, but it's not going to worry me too much because I want the back end to light up. It's just if it radiates anywhere else further along. So I might have to put some light blocking on the base part of the LED itself to stop it although it all aims out this way, when they light up, let me see, can I get mine on? When they light up, the whole thing lights up through the plastic, but I'll only really want the stuff that's coming out the front. So I can apply light blocking around the side and the bottom of the LED to stop it coming back the way, and all the light goes out the way. Similarly, this blue LED, I'm only interested in what comes out the front. I don't want the side emittance particularly. So I'll do some blacking out on the LED as well. And I'll just do that with a dark paint. Right, so I figured out that I'm going to have to go across the wings. What I now want to check is, right, wait now, where's the back? That's the back. And is it that way? Have I got it right? Nah, no. Is it that way? It's that way, right. I'm assuming it's that way. Right, there's a wee tab, so it sits like that. So what I've got to check now is, again it's easier if I show you with the red, we have decided that we are going to go from wing to wing. So I need to figure out how I'm going to get that from wing to wing, like in the, hold on, wait now. Remember, most of this central part is going to be hidden inside the aircraft. So I'm trying to figure out where there's going to be the least wire exposed. So there's going to be, right, that might be an idea there. Get the tweezers. This is just me planning, right, and I'm using a red wire against the white so it shows up to you guys. It's not the wire I'm going to be using, but it's all going to get painted over anyway. So you can see there's one engine there that the wire needs to go into, and there's an engine there that the wire needs to go into, and if I have that wire, as it falls apart on me, if I have that in the hinge, Tony likes that word hinge, if I have that in there, oh Terry, it's hard to try and keep it on the wing and test it, but the wing can still move. Yeah, so I'm going to have a wire from the other pair as well. So let's just see, can we get into the wire? Right, where's my t'other wire? Right, unfortunately it's not red, so it's not going to show through as well. But for t'other engines, can I get my wire to go through that way? Can I? Of course I can. You will go. This one's just got a black tracer through it. Right, so that's 2 wires across. But there's going to be a return from each as well, so wait now, no. Basically, wire goes into one LED, then the wire comes out for that LED across to the other one, and then the wire comes out for there back to the ship. So there will be 2 further wires that I need to also get through there, and I'm reckoning I can get them through that hinge. If not through the front of that bit of the hinge, they certainly will all fit through the back. So 1. What I'll do is I'll fold this in 4. Right, 1, 2, 1, 2. No, there's only going to be 3 cutting. Wait a minute. 1 up. So there's going to be a wire coming up to it, then a wire across to the other one, and then a wire down. That's 1 pair. Right, and then the same again. So we're going to have wires passing there 3 times. Really? 3 times? Oh, chings. Right, okay. I don't really want to solder a join in the middle now. Right, so there's going to be 3 coming through there. Do it again. I'm just trying to think it out in my head. Alright, so the power's going to come up. That's 1 cross. And then the power's going to go to that one. That's 2 cross and 3. But then I've got to do that for the other 2. So there's going to be 6 bits of wire I've got to try and get through there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just folding this wire up so it gives me 6 strands without cutting it into 6 strands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, I'll bend it over again. 6. Right. That's quite a lot of. This is the wing wiring, the engine wiring. So there's 6. Right, I'm just going to squeeze it with the tweezers just it. Right, that's 1 pair. And apologies that the neighbour downstairs playing music really loud again. I might have to go and have words again. If any of it comes up on my camera, that's why I'm trying to keep talking to drown it out. If any of it comes up on my camera and YouTube picks it up, it can take the video off due to copyright infringement. So any music that I use is not copyrighted. And I'm waffling. Right, I'm just trying to get a bunch of 6 wires to see how much is going to have to go in there. It's quite a wide amount of wiring. 6 wires. And it's going to need, in theory it's 6 times 1.2, so that'll be 7.2 mil, am I right? Aye, roughly speaking 7 mil is there, because I'm not worried whether they go up and down or not. I'm just wondering if there's enough gap now. Actually, that pair go that side, and that wiring can go that side. There is enough room. Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is enough room. Yeah, because one set of wiring can go on across there, and then this one, I've got space on this side as well. So yeah, I'm going to get the wires through, so it's going to be three for one wing and 3 for the other. Yeah, 3 for one wing and 3 for the other. And it can come up different sides. Now the only thing I've got to look at is how I'm going to run the wires. So if that's going from there to there, I know I can drill down through that, but I need it to get up into that. What's actually visible? None of this bit's really particularly visible. So how much space have I got? So I'm just going to stick it back together again. This is, I'm going to go off camera and do a lot of this, but I've got to figure it out before I start drilling the holes. So I'll put my wings in place. Now there is space underneath for that, so I know that I can come, if I can get them to come down. So when the wires, so when that's sitting like that, they can go through there, and the other wires that are under there are going to be hidden. Okay, and I'm looking at, what am I doing? So my wire's going to come across and I can get them through there, and then they need to get down the bottom. So engine and down, and then when they're in the bottom you didn't actually see what goes there, so I could go through the wing part. I don't actually think there's going to be a lot of movement on this. So I'll click my top back on again, which I can actually get together now. When it's glued together, there's very little movement in the wings. And the only bit you see is in there, and in there. So I'll just have to pay that an attention a bit, so I can run them. So I've just got to make sure that when I'm running them, I want to try and keep it, I want to try and hide as much as I can from there. I'll also need to put these on and see where they sit, because I don't want to damage the detail if possible on the engine, but I'm going to have to get it down into this ledge. Once it's in this ledge I can work with it, and you're probably not going to see it. So right, I'm going to sit and work that out. I also have to, for putting it on the next part, apart from figuring out the wire, I need to figure out the LEDs as well. I'll keep the front pin and the locator for helping me put it together, but the back one, I want to put an LED in there, so it's not going to let me put it in, so I'm going to have to remove this part. Also, if you're looking for the back of the engine, it's got a plate, so I need to remove that because I want the bulb sticking out it, so I'll go and work on that. Once I've got them so I can actually get an LED sitting inside, you know, and work out that bit, I then need to try and figure out where I'm drilling it. So I'm not going to do all that on camera. I've explained what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to call it quits there. Yeah, because I'm going to be running at my usual hour again because I shot that other bit earlier on. Yeah, basically, yeah, and then the next one I'll come back and we'll see where we've got, because I want to get into the light block and getting this together, getting some wires actually in it and LEDs fitted and all that. So yeah, it's going to be a process, a bit long-winded, but I'm aiming at the newbie, and I try to explain the thought process of why I'm doing what. So Terry from Smooth's Workshop, till the next one. Take care, styrene fanatics. See you later. Bye.